guys, I am so happy right now for like several reasons. The first reason is, of course, I am back in my apartment. As you can see, I'm so freaking happy to be home. I've actually been home for like a week, but I've been incredibly jet lagged, and then it's also been a very busy like first week back in the office. So while I've been trying to like film little bits of b-roll here and there, I just haven't had the opportunity to sit down and like talk to the camera. So yeah, it's honestly so good to be back. I'm just so happy. I'm like looking out over the city right now, and it just makes me feel so happy to just like be back around like civilization and to just be able to like go out and do things and like catch up with my friends. And yeah, it's been a really nice first week back. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. But I wanted to give you guys like a little reading update of everything that I have been reading so far this week, and therefore so far this year, because we are still in the first week of January, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag, truth be told. I've had a really good read and a really terrible read to start the year off, and unfortunately actually I started the year off with the terrible read and then read the really good one. It was like a 2-star followed by a 5-star. I kind of feel like it's like the duality of man kind of thing. So I started the year reading The Year of the Locust by Terry Hayes. So I don't know if I've really spoken about it on this channel because I read it 10 years ago, and although I always talk about it and say it's my favorite thriller of all time and it's one of my favorite books of all time, it never really makes that kind of like top books list, you know? Like I filmed while I was back in the UK my books that kind of changed me as a human. It's not that level, but it is up there with my favorite books of all time, and that's I Am Pilgrim by Terry Hayes, which is an incredible thriller. Like I say, my favorite spy thriller, or just thriller in general, of all time. So I've waited 10 years for the guy to release his follow-up, which is The Year of the Locust, and I thought it was going to be another Pilgrim book first of all. So when I picked it up and it was not following the same character, I was disappointed. But I carried on reading because I thought, well, at least it's going to be the same kind of vibe, right? It's the same like CIA spy type thriller, very similar like geographical locations where the book's set. And I thought it was going to follow the same kind of format, and unfortunately it was just such a letdown. Like the first 50% of the book did follow that kind of format, but the writing just felt so unbelievably amateurish. It was clunky, it was mismatched, there was just plot holes everywhere. It felt really unfinished and unpolished, and it was just not like the reading experience I expected to have. And then from the second 50% of the book, the plot just kind of freaking devolved. I honestly don't even really know what the hell it is that I read, and while there were some good moments and redeeming moments, it just felt like a mess. And I feel like the choice to do what he did with part 4, I really need to question his publishers and his agents for not calling him out on that and saying like, you know what, like maybe you build that into a whole separate book. Because it felt like you were reading 2 different books. It felt like you were reading a completely different author, like completely different. It did not feel like a Terry Hayes book. And it was just such a disappointment. So I gave it 2 stars because while it was a huge disappointment, it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever read. But that kind of did put me into a slump. It took me 8 days to read. And you guys know me, I read quickly. So the fact that a 600-odd page book took me 8 days to read, I think speaks to just how much I wasn't enjoying it. But I was determined to soldier on, to power through, and I did. And I finished it yesterday, and I gave it 2 stars, and I wrote my review. You guys can follow me as always on Goodreads, but also Storygraph, which I've downloaded for this year because I think I prefer their rating kind of system. So I did a review on both of those apps for the book and just kind of spoke a little bit more at length about my thoughts and feelings. But yeah, I was very bitterly disappointed by The Year of the Locust, and if you are an I Am Pilgrim fan, I would not recommend picking that up. But yeah, anyway, then I picked up So Late in the Day by Claire Keegan, which is this teeny tiny little novella. Not even a novella, it's a short story. It's 47 pages. And this is a very interesting one because this is actually was never intended to be published. So I believe Keegan wrote this as like an example piece for her creative writing students, and then after writing it for them decided to publish it. And it's a very beautiful little vignette, and it follows our character, our protagonist Cathal, who is working in Dublin, and basically it just takes place over one Friday afternoon where he leaves work and he goes home, he opens a bottle of champagne, and he reflects on his behaviors and the things that he did that led to the breakdown of his engagement and his future marriage. And the significance of the day that this takes part on does become apparent as you continue to read. So there's like interlinking themes, but it's very good. It kind of discusses misogyny, it discusses like the nature of giving within a relationship and what can cause our relationships to break down, and then that sense of like development as you start to recognize your own mistakes as a human, and perhaps the decisions and the ways that you've treated people in the past that don't reflect who you are, but unfortunately led to breakdowns of relationships. I don't feel like I've really explained that very well. There's a specific word, self-awareness. There we go. So there's basically like a huge theme of this is self-awareness and becoming self-aware, and kind of your process of recognizing how previous decisions and the ways that you've treated people in the past can affect larger relationships. And some of these things can be so like tiny, minute things that you don't even realize you're doing, that perhaps you've inherited from the people around you, that perhaps you've seen your family do, and it's kind of subconsciously rubbed off on you, and you then treat people the same way. This book deals with all of that. It's fantastic. I very highly recommend it. For such a short book, it really does give a very well-rounded and very complete narrative. The character development in this is fantastic, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. The writing's beautiful. In fact, Hilary Mantle's blurbed this, and she said that a single one of Keegan's grounded, powerful sentences can contain volumes of social history. Every word is the right word in the right place, and the effect is resonant and deeply moving. And completely, yes, agree 100%. That's exactly what it feels like when reading this. This is an actual masterpiece. And then yesterday I started 2 more books. Well, actually one of them I kind of started on Friendsmas because I was staying at my friend's house and I just wanted to read something before I went to sleep, but it was late, wanted to keep the lights off, so I just started reading 3 Swedish Mountain Men on my Kindle. But now, this year, I've decided to take my Kindle onto the treadmill with me, so when I'm doing my incline walks I can read, and it kind of passes the time a bit better. So I'm now reading this while I'm on the treadmill, and I actually read it on my little hot girl walk this morning, and I'm really enjoying it. I haven't read like a little spicy Why Choose Romance in a moment, so that's my first Lily Gold book that I've ever picked up, and I'm really enjoying that. And then finally yesterday I started Shame by Annie Ernaux, which is another example of very, very beautiful writing. So this is a memoir, and this concerns a pivotal point in Annie's developmental years where she sees her father attempt to kill her mother one morning. And literally the opening line of this book is perhaps the most powerful opening line of any book I've ever read, and it literally states, "My father tried to kill my mother one Sunday in June in the early afternoon." Like, how that can't captivate you and make you immediately want to delve in and read more, I don't know. I feel like if you can put that down after that line, you are built differently to me. But anyway, this is just, I'm still kind of only in the first like quarter of it, so I haven't got through very far, and it's again only another short little book, but I'm wanting to like not test myself too early into the new year by reading huge thick tomes. I am gonna at some point this month reread both Crescent City books, and I also really need to finish Court of Silver Flames, which again will happen this month. But aside from those 3, I'm not really intending on reading big thick books right now. I want to kind of read more considered pieces. I'm wanting to read memoirs and things that make me look at the craft of writing and kind of admire the way that these authors are weaving language and words and creating these new worlds and these, you know, discussing these really nuanced themes. Like, that's what I'm really excited by this month. But anyway, back to Shame. This says, with the emotionally rich voice of great fiction and the analytical eye of a scientist, Annie Ernaux provides a powerful reflection on experience and the power of violent memory to endure through time to determine the course of a life. So basically this book is chronicling how that initial pivotal memory of her father trying to kill her mother has then affected her throughout her life, and how she keeps revisiting it at different times of her life, and it is still kind of informing the way that she reacts to things and the way that she processes things all these years later. And she feels a great degree of shame around what she witnessed as well, hence the title of this memoir. And that's also an interlinking theme as well in everything we're reading so far, is this shame of her femininity and this shame of her childhood and how she grew up. So I'm finding it very interesting. Again, the language choices in this are brilliant. It's kind of reminiscent of Claire Keegan in the way that she writes, in the sense that she is just a very beautiful, very considerate writer. Every single word that's put down on the page has a purpose, and I'm really enjoying that. So I feel like I'm learning a lot from reading these books as well, and from picking books like this to start my year with. So that has been a long ramble on my weekly reading so far. I don't really know honestly what this vlog's gonna be. I'm just kind of like going with it, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go clean my apartment now. Love that for me. Friends, hello. It is Monday. It's Blue Monday actually, to be precise, and I just finished reading Shame by Annie Ernaux, which is what I have turned the camera on to talk about. But also, firstly, I just wanted to like apologize for the weird setup. I had this vision in my head that I was going to film against like a blank white wall and it was going to look very aesthetic, and instead I can't get the camera angle right. That plug socket is in focus and the top of my head's being cut off regardless of what I'm doing with my tripod. So I'm just like not arguing with it today. Like this is just, it's fine. It's fine. So I'm in like a very strange headspace today. I feel like part of it can be attributed to the fact that it is gloomy as heck outside and it's just doing nothing to improve my mood. Also, I have a couple of things just going on external to YouTube that my head's just kind of like fixated on a little bit. And also I finished Shame by Annie Ernaux today, which is a very heavy read, and I think that's probably going somewhere to, or partially attributed to, my mood. In fact, I think it's like largely attributed to my mood, honestly, because I was feeling somewhat melancholy when I woke up, but then when I finished reading this, the melancholy just kind of grew exponentially as the day has gone on, and thus I'm sitting here feeling like this. But I do recommend this book. It was very good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I enjoyed her writing a lot, and I enjoyed kind of the way that she, I believe, is using these small little memoirs as a way of building a wider collection of work, kind of almost anthropologically studying herself. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's a very creative way of doing it. Also, this book in particular is the book that won her the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2022, which I didn't realize. I didn't know which work it was that won it, but it was this one. And I can see why. Like, it was very, very good. And it kind of just chronicles her experiences before and after a period of time in 1952 where her dad tried to kill her mum one day, and she kind of leads with that incident and then she kind of backtracks and she looks at all of the little tiny instances that kind of led up to that moment, and then all the little tiny instances after that moment were her understanding of the world and her reactions to things, and then how the feeling of shame that she has just kind of pervades every experience from then on. It's very, very interesting, very interesting indeed, and very well done, and there are some truly beautiful quotes in it. In fact, I underlined one of my favorite quotes this morning, and I feel like I really want to share that with you because I just thought it was very good, and it's where she's discussing the concept of memory, and now I need to find it, which is always easier said than done. So it says, our memory is separate from us, residing in the ocean breeze or the smells of early autumn, things linked to the earth that recur periodically, confirming the permanence of mankind. For me, and no doubt many of my contemporaries, memories are associated with ephemeral things, such as a fashionable belt or a summer hit, and therefore the act of remembering can do nothing to reaffirm my sense of identity or continuity. It can only confirm the fragmented nature of my life and the belief that I belong to history, and I found that so interesting. And then now obviously she's utilizing her writing to ensure that she belongs to history, like she is going to be remembered, and I think that's amazing. But yeah, my mind's just kind of in the gutter a little bit this afternoon, and I think part of it is the like emotional themes in this, and then part of it is just my life. But I wanted to do a little reading update 'cause I still don't know what this vlog is, truly, honestly. I started filming it like a week ago when I got back, and so far it's like 2 clips and a selection of b-rolls, so God knows what we come up with in the end. But I'm just trying to be a little bit more organic with my vlogs this year, and a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to put pressure on them to be a certain thing, like they're all always going to be concerning reading, unless I'm specifically filming something that isn't reading related, in which case you'll know. But I don't know. Anyway, I feel like this clip has got nothing of substance. I can't decide what to read next. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. I don't feel like this has put me into a reading slump. It's definitely kind of put me into some degree of a life slump. But like, I don't know what to read next because I'm still kind of wanting to read something memoir adjacent. I am also wanting to read something more thrilling. I am also putting off reading more Sarah J Maas, and that is intriguing. I think the thing that I was worried about, which is that I would burn out on reading her stuff right before the release of the book that I'm really excited to read, has happened, and I still haven't finished rereading everything that I wanted to reread, and so now I'm kind of kicking myself for that because I want to enjoy House of Flame and Shadow when it is released. So I don't know really what to do with that. Anyway, I'm sure I will fill you guys in on my choices once I have made them. Hey friends, it's like, I don't even know, 5 days later. I wasn't sure how to end this vlog, and also what to even include in this vlog. I wasn't sure when I was filming it what this vlog was going to be. It's just kind of like an amalgamation, I guess, of the first couple of weeks of January for me and my reading. But I figured it could be fun to end the vlog talking through my reading plans for the rest of the month, because it's got off to a good start. It has. I've read a couple of 5-star books. I've read a 2-star book, but most of all I'm actually reading consistently, which feels good this month because I had like a couple of really slumpy months last year, and I'm just trying to like get back into it. So this past week I read Frankenstein for University, which I gave like 4 stars, really enjoyed it. And then I also reread A Court of Silver Flames, and I actually gave that 5 stars this time after giving it 4 stars the first time I read it. So that was interesting, but I much preferred it this time around. I feel like I just got Nesta a lot more and just really enjoyed her character arc this time. So that was a really good reading experience, and I was just very much in my feels, and it has got me very excited for the next Crescent City installment. I'm stoked. But anyway, the rest of my reading plans, I started reading Beartown this morning. I just wanted like a bit of a palette cleanser between the fantasy romance, because I'm then going to reread House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath next in preparation for Crescent City 3. But, oh, by the way, I got a mirror. finally getting furniture. The other books that I kind of really want to try and get to this month, if by some miracle I have chance with my Crescent City rereads, I do want to finish my Throne of Glass reread, but ultimately I just don't think that's going to be possible because I still have Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash to go, and I just don't think I'm going to get that time this month to read alongside work and university and everything else in my life. If by some miracle I get a chance to visit some other books, I wanted to read Outline by Rachel Cusk. Never read a Rachel Cusk before, but she really intrigues me, and this is like the start of a trilogy of hers that's really popular. So yeah, I'm very curious. I also want to read some of her essay collections this year. She's got a lot of like art-based essay collections, which I'm just really intrigued by. So yeah, Outline is a big one. And then also The Guest by Emma Cline. I've heard really great things about this one recently, and I don't know why, but I'm just so intrigued by it, so I really want to pick this up. And then finally, I also picked up Biography of X the other day, which has been on my list to buy for ages. So yeah, I'd like to try and get to a Biography of X this month, but also that's probably going to be a February read. And at some point I am going to sit and assess what my February TBR is going to be, because I'm really excited to be back with like my US TBR, my US book collection. I'm stoked. I have so many really cool books here. I'm just like looking at them all now and I'm just like, so excited to read. But anyway, you guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this vlog. I know it's been a bit all over the place, but I'm slowly getting myself back into the swing of vlogging. I've also got furniture on its way, so I'm going to at some point do a Miami Diaries update, a little apartment tour kind of vibe now that I'm back and like in my settling in, building my home phase. But yeah, I hope you guys are good. If you have not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, because your gal wants to build this community this year and make it, you know, something. And I'll see you in another video. I don't even know what was that ending, like what, I don't even